What's up, everybody? X-Wizard here. I wanted to give an update on my guards adventure that I was writing for Cairn. I did my first play session with it 2 weekends ago. I wanted to do it last weekend, but we had scheduling conflicts. And it went well. It went really well. We had a blast. It was my youngest, my oldest, and then I had one of my best friends who hasn't done much tabletop gaming. And it was his first time with the Cairn system. It went awesome. I brought like everything we needed. I brought the rules. I brought the adventure. I brought character sheets. He had some scratch paper there. I brought dice with a tray, and we just shared it. And it was a nice little cozy setup we had there at his place. And we played. And he was a bit apprehensive about it at first because he's like, I don't know any of the rules. Like, I haven't thought about like what I want to make for a character. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. We're gonna make it all up on the fly. He's like, oh, okay, all right. So once we got into character creation, we started rolling for name and background and character traits. And he saw how little the character sheet was. It's not a very big character sheet, and it was pretty easy to fill out. We rolled stats, starting funds, and starting gear and stuff like that. And that was a fun experience. I think character creation is it's so fast and fun that it gets people in a good mood like right away. So that was really cool. Character creation went well, and then we went through the intro here, which I'm not going to go through all the intro. I did that in my last video, but to just briefly summarize it, the adventure it's just like the show Cops, except it's guards, right? Medieval fantasy. So you go through, you're issued your brigandine armor, which is the uniform for the cops or for the guards, and then you're issued a sword, which is your weapon. You can, of course, choose to have different weapons and stuff like that, but that's how I've got it. Basically, you meet the guard captain, you take the protector's oath, you're shown to where your barracks is, and then you're basically just given assignments to do various patrols. Your first few patrols are done at night. So once you do the intro to where you take the oath and then you're shown to your barracks, you have like a few hours before your first shift, and we spent like 30 minutes just at that point, just like role playing and like having a good time. And I did not expect that. My friend, whose character was named Harper, after I finished the intro, I said, okay, well, you're here at your barracks. You've got some time until your first patrol. What do you guys want to do? He says, I want to go talk to some of those guards that we passed by earlier. So he walked up and like struck up a conversation with some of the other guards. And he was like, sup dudes, I'm like new here. I'm going to go on my first patrol tonight. I just want to make sure that like I've got what I need. So he started like listing off everything in his inventory. Like, I've got like a sponge and a drill. I've got some marbles. And yeah, so it was really fun. Just him role-playing with other guards, and they were role-playing amongst each other, like getting to know one another. They went back to their barracks room and was like picking like out, who gets top bunk and who gets bottom bunk and so on and so forth. But yeah, there was some crazy antics that happened there, like trying to mess with some of the guards. So like in the intro, I read a part about how you're passing your other guards and like some of them are dressing wounds and stuff like that. So Harper was trying to tell people how to like, put vinegar in it. It'll make it heal faster, and like you could put salt in it to make it clot up nicely. Just messing with people. So that's gonna come back to haunt them probably. But that was fun. So then we get to the first patrol, right? I went through the first patrol in the first video I made about it, but I'll just give you a quick summary. So they're working night shift. They are patrolling the market district. At least one person has to have a torch out or else they can't really see. My youngest was playing a character called Jimbo. I cannot read his writing, but he was towering was his trait. So he's like super tall. So they had him holding the torch. And it was kind of chaotic because my youngest kept trying to do PvP. He kept trying to like hit other players with it. Eventually, I think my oldest, my youngest failed a strength save to prevent my eldest from taking the torch. So he was holding the torch for a while, but they had a fun time kind of patrolling around the market district, investigating every sound or sight they saw. In my adventure, I have a little blurb here about some of the stuff that you can throw at them, like a stray animal. maybe a tired shopkeeper leaving late, or a baker arriving before dawn to get started. They ended up trying to like chase the animal, and then they basically were kind of dicks to the shopkeeper. Like they were accusing him of being a burglar and like threatening to search him and stuff like that. It was really funny. So that was interesting. And then when we got to the actual meat of the patrol where they encounter a burglar, that was nuts. So they encounter the burglar who was halfway through climbing up a building. So one of the players had a grappling hook, so they climbed on top of the building. And my youngest pulled out his fishing pole and was gonna try to like Minecraft him. You know, like in Minecraft where if you use your fishing pole on a mob, you can like yank it towards them. Well, he was trying to do that. I had him make a dexterity save to see if he could even get it over to him. He passed it, so I just said like the hook got buried in his thigh, and the burglar started screaming, and he wasn't able to like run away. And then my oldest, who was holding the torch, he wanted to like beat him with the torch to see if he can catch him on fire. He caught on fire. So his clothes are catching on fire. Yeah, it was something else. It did not go how I envisioned it going, but I'm so glad it went the way it did because it was super fun. So they ended up all kind of like piling on top of this burglar and searching him. As he was being searched, like the burglar's trying to say that his name is Henson Halmore. He's a prominent merchant, and they weren't buying it. You know, they saw that he had a dagger, they had rope, lockpicks, crowbar. So they were all like divvying up his loot on top of this rooftop. They ended up tying him up with the rope, which brought up a good idea for the adventure. I think when I go to the starting equipment that they get issued, I think they should also get some manacles as well. I think that would make sense, so they can actually arrest people. Yeah, I might throw in, I might do that now. I might throw in manacles. So there we go. So they've got manacles now, but they didn't add during this adventure. So they used the burglar's own rope to tie him up. They stole the rest of his gear. I don't know if they divvied up the coin or not, because I think somebody took the coin, and I think they were talking about what to do about the stolen merchandise. So there was a nice conversation that was had there. Like they were thinking about like, well, do we keep it? Like, is anything cool? Or like, should we try to sell it to somebody? Or should we try to find out where this was stolen from? Should we try to return it? Should we just turn it in to the duty officer when we turn this guy in? So they had a nice, cool, fun discussion about what to do there. They were pretty close to just stealing it, I think. So that was fun. That was the conclusion of the first patrol. In their downtime between the first and second patrol, they wanted to go to the market to see, like one of them wanted to get a helmet or a hat. My youngest kept trying to get a wolf hat for some reason. He really wants a wolf hat. I think my oldest was looking for a better weapon. My buddy who's playing Harper wanted to like see if he could sell some of his stuff, and he wanted to get a new pair of shoes. So he tried to like extort the cobbler and tried to rip him off. I think he was also threatening like to try to get them to pay protection money. So that was fun. And I know he tried to swindle one merchant, and he actually remembered the name of Henson Halmore and tried to throw that around like, yeah, we're friends with good old Henson Halmore. You don't want to mess with us. And turns out that merchant actually knew Henson Halmore and wasn't buying it. So she refused to go lower on the price. She actually raised it. So as a way of getting back, when they got back to the barracks, Harper walked up to the duty officer like, look, man, I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure this merchant's doing some shady stuff, and basically got her added on a watch list. So that's really funny. I think we're going to have some fun with that next session. Yeah. And then I didn't go into the second encounter. I don't want to spoil it, but I kind of do. I'll just give you the rough summary of it. It should pique your interest. So the second patrol, you're patrolling around the residential district. Again, it's nighttime. And the main event for that one is a naked man comes running at you clutching a bundle of clothes, screaming at you for help. He's being pursued by an angry man with an axe, and there is a woman clad only in a bedsheet frantically trying to stop this armed man from killing the naked man. So I'll let you figure out what happened there. That was a fun encounter. Some blood was shed, and I think my youngest actually got some scars. I think he got hit. He got his hip protection was reduced. He rolled for a scar, and unfortunately for the scars that he rolled, it was like one of them was like re-roll your hip protection. If it's a higher result, you take it. He kept rolling ones, so he didn't get any higher hip protection, but he got a few scars out of it, and he was pretty wounded, but he managed to keep fighting because he succeeded on his strength saves to keep fighting. So really fun encounter, and it was really fun combat. Like, it didn't have to go to combat, but it did. And it was really fun. So yeah, and that's basically kind of where we stopped it. Just the intro and those two patrols took up like 3 hours, and it was action packed start to finish. I mean, other than me like reading this super long intro, but even then they were involved, and they were like leaning on every word. I really had to make a point to like slow down, because sometimes I get so excited that I start stuttering. You've probably noticed. And I start kind of reading fast, so I really made sure to read in a measured pace. They were eating up like every word, and they remembered, like, you know, Captain Gebrick and Lieutenant Vandal, and they didn't have to write it down. Like even talking about some of the stuff from the intro, like the guards dressing wounds and stuff like that. Recalling the burglar saying he was Henson Halmore, and they brought that back around. It was super cool, and I just love that the Cairn system. I just love the system. It's so lightweight that there's no obstacles to having fun. Like, it's fun from the moment you do character creation, and it's fun the entire time. When I was playing D&D and like Pathfinder, it felt like every turn was kind of a drag, and like, especially for my boys, they were kind of hesitant to like try stuff because they didn't know whether they could or not, and they didn't know if they had the right trait, or if they had enough actions, or if the DC was going to be super high, so that they didn't want to risk failing. This is just so much more intuitive. It's even more dangerous if you get in a combat situation. It's so much more fast paced, and it's so intuitive for my players, especially for my buddy who had never played this before. He was kind of nervous going in. He's like, I don't know any of the rules. It didn't matter. Once he got into the flow of like explaining what he wanted his character to do, and then I, as the warden, would try to like assist him. Like, if it was something that's kind of risky, it would be a save. Or if it's something that, he was able to do because of either a trait or like something he had, he would just do it. So, for example, like, he tried to like trip up somebody with his marbles, and I had the target make a dex save, and they failed, and they splatted on their face, and it was fun. So, really cool, and it was just so painless. I learned quite a bit from running it, especially for this being my first adventure that I've tried to create. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to condense some of this down. I think the intro, while it seems long on the paper, it went by super quick. I don't think I have to cut out much of that at all. But on the actual encounters and stuff here, I think I might try to condense like all this stuff to just like a few bullet points that you can quickly read on the fly. Obviously keep the stuff that you need to read aloud to the players. And then of course have the stat block. So it went really well. I haven't gotten a chance to really work much more on the adventure because of real life circumstances. I was looking on the Cairn site, and I think that once I get this done, I might be able to just submit it right to the site. Now, they have a style guide, which they just use Markdown, which is fine. So I can make like a big README file or whatever in the Markdown. They have a submission guide, tells you what you need to do. So I've already got GitHub and all that stuff working. The only thing I have on GitHub right now is just my Neurality 3092 game that I'm working on my devlog series, but I can easily make another repo. So for the only thing I'm not sure on is that all the original adventures seem to link to other websites, usually some sort of like itch.io or something like that. So I might have to make one of those. I might be able to just do this adventure submission. So it says see the adventure submission template, but this seems to be for adventure conversions. I don't know if I'm necessarily converting a adventure, but if you go to the adventures and you go to the conversion section, this stuff seems to be like the actual markdown that appears on the site. So maybe I might be able to just post it on there. If nothing else, I'll be able to at least post a link to the Google document if that's easier. I think that might be easier because I think it'll print out better if you want to print it out, which I assume most people will probably want to, or they can just like have it on their phone or a tablet or something and just read it aloud as they go. I just wanted to make a quick update on it because I know some people were excited when I made my last video. They were excited at the prospect of a cops like adventure for Cairn, and they wanted me to give a update on it. So that's what I'm doing. I just thanks for listening to me ramble, but I wanted to share my thoughts on it and how it went. I'm pretty pleased with how the adventure went, and I had a blast. My players had a blast, and I think I'm gonna call that a win. And the next time that we play, it's going to be a lot more fun because, you know, the basic premise of the adventure where you're doing these patrols sounds like it might get boring after a while. So I've got a few things in there to help break up the monotony of that. So you might get an assignment to escort some dignitary around to do errands or something like that. Or you might have a assignment to conduct an investigation of a missing tax collector or something like that. So anyway, the next video that I'm going to make on this, the adventure should be done and it should be published, and it'll hopefully be on the Cairn website, I think, at some point, or if not, I'll be able to just have a link to a Google Doc where people can try it out. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me ramble about this fun adventure. And let me know your thoughts on it. If you have any ideas for me, let me know. I love to hear feedback, and I appreciate it. And I'll see you in whatever video I make next.